What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Sean Williams back with a new segment called Off the Mat, your mental health check-in podcast for athletes across the world. Here I am joined today with my guest, Courtney Watson. How are you doing today?
I'm well, Sean. How are you?
Good. Let's just get right into it. So, tell me about yourself.
Awesome. Yeah. So, my name is Courtney. I played sports growing up. I'm also a sports nutritionist. My first degree is in kinesiology. My second degree is in dietetics and nutrition. And I really love learning about the body. I love sports as well. And so, growing up, I was a huge sports athlete. And didn't really have a choice in it because I come from a baseball family. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, you play softball. Why softball?
Softball, I love the hand-eye coordination in baseball. I love that, you can hit the ball just the right way and hit it with power. I love the feeling of grounding a ground ball or fielding a ground ball. I love like a straight line drive, playing from third and being able to catch it backhand. There was a lot of positives for me playing softball, having a team sport, coming from a team. And I also love playing sports during the summertime. I mean, who doesn't love to play, sports during the summer? Even though sometimes the AAU games get a little bit hot, but there was so much joy that softball brought me.
Absolutely. Softball does bring joy, just as like other sports do. But, it's physically taxing, as we all know. But not a lot of people know that sports can be mentally taxing. Tell me about a time where your sport was very mentally taxing, maybe pre-game wise, during game, outside of it. Walk me through that. How was that for you mentally?
I think for me, growing up, I was really hard on myself with softball. So there was a lot of self-sabotaging, if you striked out, what the effects of that has on you. If I could do it all over again, I would definitely integrate like more meditation into my practice. And so that would be like, just always knowing that you have another chance. You can maybe prepare a little bit more. You can visualize before getting up to the plate. All of these new terms that I feel athletes now have the advantage of. It would have helped me out back then to be able to really focus on more of the technical aspect of softball. And then, also just not beating myself up a lot of the times if I wasn't able to get certain things done.
Cool. It's really fascinating because I actually wrestled Division I and for the first 17 years, well, actually 17 years of my life I've wrestled. So that makes a lot of sense. The fact that, you have to go through so much just to do something that you love. Was there anything that you had to give up, though, doing that sport regarding maybe time away from family or time away from somebody you cared about?
Yeah. Once again, it's all about preparation. And so for me, preparing the night before a game is staying in. That is also hydration. There's so much knowledge now and so much research with proper hydration or eating, your carbohydrates the night before your games or 2 hours before your practice or your games. And so all of these different techniques help athletes to really perform at their next level. And so, the preparation in that would help me to, get the job done a little bit better, I think, and compete at that next level.
That's perfect. So, you're also a nutritionist.
Yeah.
So, knowing what you know now about nutrition.
Yeah.
Did you do it were you also into nutrition when you did softball, or was that a different chapter of your life first?
I think unconsciously I was.
Okay.
My mom was really big into nutrition as well, but the oranges, bringing them to the game, how important vitamin C is for us to perform. also just like I know this, and science shows 30 minutes after a game, practice, training, or whatever have you, if you get that protein and you replenish yourself, it could be with even antioxidants from fruits, say. 30 minutes after that designated period of your activity shows so much growth of repair for your body. So the cellular level just kind of increases so much as far as like repairing your body and stuff. So you really want to focus on like your hydration, your protein, your antioxidants. So yeah, like all of this knowledge, I wish I would have known, because maybe I would have been able to wake up in the morning and go to school straight after, that big game, on a Tuesday night, for instance. And then just really preparing and being able to stay balanced is really important, because it's possible. I just think it's a level of, getting the job done and preparing.
Absolutely. I do feel as like being an athlete and hearing what you're saying, food, you do have to treat food as fuel in a way, because without it, you really can't perform at the best level. We talked about preparation and how you have to put your best foot forward. It all becomes how well you're preparing yourself in order to beat your competition, and that's really huge when it comes to sports, and can also play a role mentally. If you're down, your body's not feeling good, you're not going to feel good. But also not feeling good mentally. Let's go back to the family part. Was there a role that your family played in sports for you? Like, was your mom the person who put together the food and your dad was the one who got you there? Or was it something more like spiritually, where they were there for you and you needed them there? Was there anything that you had personally that supported you?
So my mom was obviously my number one supporter, and my father was the one that showed me the way. So it was a way growing up, I saw my dad playing sports, and even to this day, he's still well known as being one of the best shortstops in our town. So another thing is my grandfather, Bob Watson. He started the Eastern Regional Little League World Series down at Bristol, Connecticut, where they have developed that whole entire Giamatti Center. So all of the different teams from the Eastern Regionals come and they compete to get to Williamsport for the Little League World Series. And so growing up, having this legacy where my grandfather helped to create this establishment, sports was just a part of a way of life, so I didn't really have a say in baseball, because it was it was like, if you had a doctor in the family, you probably are going to be a doctor.
A doctor, yeah.
For me, it was my father played softball and baseball. My grandfather played baseball and softball, so I was going to play softball. But it was a drive, it was a way that I was able to accomplish something. I was able to stay focused. And I think in life, we should always be trying to strive to be better. And so with softball, it was the same thing. You show up and you're like, maybe I can hit the ball a little bit harder. Maybe I can, catch that ground ball that's coming in really, really fast. Whatever that technique, whatever that drive is, I can do it a little bit better, and I think that then that goes into life, so maybe I can apply for that job, or, maybe I can reach out to that person and do that one more interview. Maybe I can get that better job. Maybe I can, level up just a little bit more. And that's how life should be, there's a balance in it all, but yeah.
So, well, I still have many more questions, and you kind of touched on all three of the ones I was going to ask, but the most important thing is, a little bit more about yourself. Where are you from? Are you from Connecticut? Because we're in Connecticut right now.
Yeah, we are in Connecticut. I'm from Bristol, Connecticut. Born and raised, played at Bristol Central. I was my freshman year, I actually made varsity, and we went to the state championship my freshman year, and then my senior year I was captain of my softball team as well, and we went to the state championship too there. Didn't win any of them. Within actually like a few years back, I was approached by my best friend who is the head coach at Southington High School.
Wow.
She had asked me if I wanted to coach. And I said, yeah, I'll coach. Of course. I didn't know how much I was going to love it. I fell in love with it so much. And me and my best friend, Southington was our rivalry. We went to Bristol Central. Now she's coaching at Southington. So it was kind of a weird situation when we had to play Bristol Central. But we played Cheshire in the state championship and we won. So we were ranked 7th in the nation at that point. And so, yeah, it's kind of a success story coming from where I come from. It's like our background of where we're from, Bristol, Connecticut, and now we're winning state championships. And my best friend, she still coaches there, Davina Hernandez, and she's amazing. To be able to come from a successful winning program, it says something. It says a level of consistency, day in and day out. And I think also the passion of it. You have to have this passion that gets you going, that keeps you going. And so, yeah, being able to come from a winning team is it's something that has been a blessing to my life. Absolute blessing. Absolutely.
So going off that, who inspires you or what inspires you?
So many people inspire me. My aunt's one of the leading OB and gynecologist here in Connecticut. So seeing her level of dedication as studying to be a doctor, being one of the only Black females being a doctor here in Connecticut is amazing. My grandfather also, his legacy definitely inspires me to continue to be connected to my community because, sports is great, but I think it's also the level of connection that you have with people. It's knowing that you have that community that you can rely on, that you can go to and talk to about anything. It's something that people, I think, I don't want to say take for granted, but sometimes it's bigger than sports. Sometimes it's the community that you're developing.
Absolutely. Helping others is something I'll always preach. I actually have a speaking event coming up where I'm going to be speaking to my old wrestling team.
Nice.
And, one of the things I'm going to highlight is, finding yourself, helping yourself by helping others. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying directly, but you kind of help yourself by helping others. And, that plays a huge role in individual success as well as teamwork. So if that's the case, you're a coach. What is the most important thing? So let me say it like this. As a coach, you teach your athletes kind of where you may have messed up, or you kind of pick up where you left off within them and teach them things that maybe you wish you had known.
Amen. Mm-hmm.
So if that's the case, what is your biggest recommendation for athletes, softball players who maybe struggle with preparation or maybe struggle with nutrition? What is your biggest advice for them, especially picking up where you left off?
I think that it's important to visualize being in the moment of hitting a ball or grounding a ground ball. And it's important to visualize anything that you're doing within your sport, but it's not trying to harp on it so much that you're taking away from the present moment. Because there's beauty in the present moment. There's beauty in, the joy of being, getting a ground ball hit to you, or having a fast pitch coming in and, you throwing your hands towards the ball and having that moment, to actually display your power, display your preparation, display your stillness. They would call me Zen Master Court. And I think you have to zero in, you have to have that attention in that exact moment where you are getting that accomplished, whatever it is. And so staying present, not trying to think of the next moment, not trying to build yourself up to a place where now you're creating anxiety. This podcast is talking a lot about mental health, and I wish somebody would talk to me about my anxiety back then, because I would have been able to recognize it. I would have been able to stop what I was doing, take a deep breath, and know that I'm capable, know that I am fully prepared, that I'm more than enough. Even if I didn't hit the ball correctly, there's always the next moment to do something a little bit better. And so it's just taking that time to really recognize kind of what you're doing. And just like, okay, like, I got this, you know?
Absolutely. And, you know I went to Sacred Heart University. There, I met with the therapist there. Her name is Kathleen. She's still my therapist now.
Nice.
I met her back in 2018, 2019. But therapy has really helped me as an athlete on and off the mat, and, you know, on and off the mound. And it's really helpful because you have to train your body and you have to train your mind just as much as you train your body. Both of those things need to go, and your spirit. A lot of people don't realize, you know, they realize, I have to be in the best shape possible. Okay, you can be in the best physical shape possible, but how are you mentally? Because if you have a weak mental mindset, that's not going to carry you through a tournament. That's not going to carry you through, I don't know really how softball works, but it's not going to carry you through a tournament as well. You know, you're on pitch like 80 and you're exhausted. Well, now at that point in time, that mental strength has to kick in. And if you're not training that, it's very hard to be successful. But often with people who struggle with being successful, not only in sports, but in life, there's often this frustration in the journey. How you, being the spiritual guru, nutritionist, somebody who is very enlightened and teaches enlightenment, how do you get people, how would you get your softball players to gain that clarity and understand, okay, this is what I want to do, this is how I'm going to do it?
Yeah.
That makes sense?
We have a lot of distractions as young people now. I think back then our families didn't have a lot of distractions. Our ancestors, our moms, our dads, it wasn't the cell phones, you know. So if we can recognize the distractions, our cell phones, you know, putting our cell phones down an hour before we go to sleep. And it doesn't have to be every single night, but especially say before a competition, it's really important to stay as still, as balanced as possible, because you want to stay in that light. You want to stay in that divineness, you know, of that, like, I'm fully capable. I am enough. I can get this done. I'm prepared. I know what I'm going to do when that fast pitch gets to me. I know what I'm going to do when somebody makes that move. I'm capable. And we want to stay in that present moment. We don't want too many things coming in and out. And, you know, that's a real deal. So I think routine, you know, a lot of gurus talk about a lot of the routine, having a nighttime routine, having a morning routine. You know, what does that look like for you? Are you meditating right when you wake up? Or, you know, are you saying your affirmations? And your affirmations could easily be what we're saying right now. I'm fully capable. I know what I'm going to do. I believe in myself. I trust myself. You know, the more that we prepare ourselves, the more that we trust ourselves. And as human beings, we've been so conditioned to not trust ourselves because of all of the different things that are happening in our society. But really all that we have to do is continue to trust ourselves and to stay present. So yeah, affirmations, and then meditation is big. Also your nutrition, you know, I'm huge on nutrition, you know, staying hydrated, carrying a water bottle with you throughout campus is really important. Eating enough proteins, eating enough carbohydrates. Our carbs are our number one source of energy. And then our fat, you know, is really important for us to go ahead and sustain this level of competition, and to do it at the optimal level that we have to do it at is really important.
Absolutely. And so aside from that, what does that look like for you, navigating through adversity, finding clarity? How have you taken those steps for your own personal life, and how has that guided you, and what does that look like?
Yeah, so distractions is always coming up for me. I always feel like I am still distracted. And so that's just checking in. That's being real with myself. You know, if I can't be honest with me, no, I can't be honest with anybody else. And so then I'm not going to get the job done to the best of my ability. But if I'm honest with me, and I know my truth, and I'm in my truth, that's all that matters.
So dealing with expectation in a way, or fear and anticipation. How do you best deal or help somebody deal with the issue of an opponent? Meaning they're scared they may lose, they're scared that the things are not going to go exactly the way they plan. How do you navigate through that? Because I feel as an athlete, being a former athlete for 17 years, that's one of the biggest issues. It's not my capability, but it's not things going the way I want it to, especially being scared of what the other person's capable of. How do you get through that?
That's an awesome question. That's really good. You got to train like a beast. I'm just always in beast mode, so even to this current day, I'm like at my job and the receptionist may try to throw me off and I'm in beast mode. So I'm already 10 steps ahead of you and you won't know that I'm coming for you. And I do it with grace and I do it now with love. That's my spiritual side, because we always want to be, kind. So as long as I'm not like hurting anybody and I'm staying true to myself and I'm good and it's okay. But I think, sometimes if a team is really good, you just gotta sometimes, hats off. And that doesn't mean but who are you? Are you still giving your best? Are you still being honest and showing up to your most, fullest capacity? How are you staying 10 steps ahead of them? I think about right now, David and Goliath, no matter what, there's still a way. Somebody had said to me the other day, when there's a way, there's a will. Or when there's a will,
there's a way.
When there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
So, that is very true. And in life, you have to stay 10 steps ahead. So that's your preparation. If you know your opponent is really good, well, they're not good at everything. What's the weakness there? And that's sports, and then, so yeah.
Yeah, so it's definitely a part of the game you have to play. There is that uncertainty, but it's just having to trust in everything that you've done to this point is going to work in your favor. I'm understanding from what you're saying is really what's going to make or break the situation.
Beast mode.
Beast mode. There it is.
It's just beast mode. There's no time to second guess it. You can't second guess it. And that comes with practice, but that also comes with meditation. Because if you're meditating on, if fear gets brought up, you have to remove that fear. And that's with your affirmations. That's staying present with self. That's saying, okay, we could do this. I am capable of this. I am capable of, competing against my opponent. I am capable of beating my opponent. And it's a mental game. It's you already have to stay 10 steps ahead before you even enter that ring. You have to already be in that, he's not beating me. No, there's no way.
So affirmations, reassuring yourself and making sure you're putting your best foot forward all the time is something that really needs to be worked on during practice. That's what you would say? On
and off the court, yeah. I think even beforehand. And I think keeping good people around you that are going to always, build you up. I have so many of my family members that I go to about everything every single day. They're so tired of me. Shout out to Aunt Gladys, because I call her 5 times a day, but she always is instilling in me that I'm capable of doing it. That, just the positivity, you want to always stay around people that are going to build you up and gas you. You got to have somebody that is pouring the gas on you. You got this. What? That person ain't got nothing on you.
Exactly.
And that's that tribe. It's how are you creating that tribe to hype you up? It's who's your best friend? So yeah.
Yeah. So where can we find you? What's your social media and everything? This is your time to promote yourself.
Dang, we done?
Yeah, that was my last question. So
Okay. Well, you could find me at Courtney_GW on Instagram. So yeah, if you are interested in sports nutrition, if you're interested in a consultation from me, go ahead and, shout me out, give me a holler, and I will be available for you, I just want to thank you, Shaun, for, giving me this opportunity, talking about clarity of the mind when it comes to sports, because I wish that I had this, as a piece of my toolbox, because I think that it's important to have a toolbox. It's like, what
Yes.
are you creating for you to succeed?
Yeah.
What does that look like? And then studying, your greats, studying the Kobe Bryants, studying, Michael Jordan,
Yeah.
studying the Ray Lewises. Like, when I think of Ray Lewis, I think of beast mode, So yeah, you have to have even the gurus. Eric Thomas is a great, motivational speaker. Tony Robbins gives him great motivational tips, just to kind of hype yourself up. And then the meditation, look into getting like meditation, different podcasts, because it's so important. I wish somebody had told me about meditation, because if you can see it, you can get it done. Like, if you want to manifest it, it's possible. But it takes time and it takes effort, and it takes you going into your quiet space and really doing the real work.
Yeah. And the best part about this is all these things we've talked about are transferable. You can do this in your sport. You can apply this to even life. You can apply this to your work. You can apply this to anything that you do, these concepts. I had a speech one time, I gave in front of like all the parents and people in my wrestling team, called Wrestling is Life, Life is Wrestling, because everything that you do within a sport is transferable. A lot of people make the joke and say, after you're done wrestling, life is easy, because it's so like rigorous, mentally and physically, spiritually, it tests you in all areas. And if you're not smart and don't catch on to those things and really just weather the storm, it's very difficult, just like I'm assuming with softball, to make it through there and really feel like you did something, let alone maybe come back. And it's really important that you keep those skills and you transfer them to the things that you want to do next in the next chapter that you have and everything like that.
Yeah, it's a lot of balance.
Yeah, so actually, that's a perfect transition. So I have one more question for you.
Okay. It's all about balance.
Yes, it is all about balance.
So it's like all of these tips that you're even giving, like, are really great, but sometimes life gets so overwhelming that we forget these certain little details about how to succeed. And so that's why it's important to continue to come home. It's know who you are, and just know that you are enough no matter what.
Yes.
Even if we didn't play another sport in our life, which I can't imagine. I actually was just recently asked to coach again, so I'm excited about that. But me just being the person that I am, I think I am just happy with that. So yeah.
That's cool. Well, aside from that, all the questions that we've asked, all the information that you've given, how has your sport, obviously you're a spiritual guru, you're a nutritionist, a coach, you are a former athlete. How has being an athlete opened up doors for you besides coaching? Like, what else do you do?
Well, I'm a yoga instructor now, so that's important. Are you hinting towards dating athletes?
Sure. You can go anywhere with that.
Dating athletes. Wow. Yeah. So I think it's cool. I think it's awesome to be able to connect with somebody that is an athlete, because that person understands you. They understand the level of mental strain that it can cause, the level of like doubt that sometimes happens. And so I'm able to like pick up on that and then encourage my partner to be like, you know what, no, you got this, because it's a lot of pressure, it can be a lot of stressfulness. Yeah, so I think that was really cool. Dating a professional athlete, the lifestyle was a lot of fun, being able to see that world and, the lavish way of life was awesome. There's some good and some downs, But once again, if I could do it all over again, I would know how awesome I am to be just in that room, you know, to be able to fly in a jet going to a Christmas Day game with Carmelo Anthony and J.R. Smith, you know. So, but also knowing that, you know, things are going to happen. Mm-hmm. There are going to be a lot of women that are going to be at the games wearing your man's jersey and, you know, but knowing who I am, no matter what, like, being okay with that, you know, it's like, it's a part of the game, unfortunately. There are relationships where, you know, it works out, and in my situation, it didn't, and I'm still friends with that person, but, yeah.
Cool. I mean, walk us through that day in the life, and who was it, if you want to share.
Okay.
But the day in the life, most importantly, how was that? Because I don't think many people have the privilege of doing this.
Well, I was definitely shooting with him in the gym. Let's just get that out there. So we were in college. We went to University of Massachusetts, Amherst. Mm-hmm. Gary Forbes is his name. Shout out Gary. And he had the opportunity to then play overseas for 3 years. So I lived in Italy. Israel I've traveled to, Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, where else? Venezuela, back to Italy, Milan, you know, you name it. I kind of have been traveling the world. And then he finally got his breakout with the Nuggets. And so that was cool to experience that, because it was like, J.R. Smith, like I said, Chauncey Billups was on the team. Carmelo Anthony was on the team at that point. That's when the Nuggets were like really hot. A day in the life. I mean, you wake up, and for me, being an athlete, once again, going to the gym or going to a yoga class was really important for me. And I also think that's where my love for nutrition came about, because then taking care of somebody, you want your fellow partner to, you know, succeed at whatever they're doing. So yeah, I want to give you all of the nutrients that I know is going to make you better, and for you to be able to show up for that next level, you know. So yeah, that's what I did in day in life. And then you would go to the game, you would sit in the family room in the back of the arena, where all of the family would be. So like Lala Anthony was there. And you just be yourself. I was a little awkward at the time because I wasn't who I am now. But, you know, you just be yourself. And those celebrities and those people are the same just as much as you. So you carry conversation just as much as we're doing right now. But I think when you have, like, those passions, it's easy to talk about those certain things with people like that. So, you know, it's just carrying on conversation. So then from there, you would walk into the arena, and you would sit where all the family is sitting, and you would pretty much know, like, the managers. You would know everybody that was behind the scenes. So it's not just, you know, the who's. It's really like the people that work hard at the arena to make sure that the show goes on, you know, make sure that, you know, everything, the water is being there, the coaches are, you know, taken care of, everybody's in place where they have to be in order to succeed, because it's all a part of that team, you know, it's a whole entire team effort.
Wow.
So yeah, and then after you watch the game, you look cute to boot. That's always fun. It's always fun. But once again, that's representation of your partner, you know, is you want to bring your best foot forward, you know, but that's being yourself, you know, and that's just what it is.
Yeah. No, I mean, it sounds great. I mean, you've had the luxury of just being at all levels regarding sports, and you wear many other hats as well. And I think that's just fantastic. I mean, there's no more of a credible source than somebody like you, because, you know, you might not have been a professional athlete, played, but you've, you know, been in a personal, I'd say, very intimate connection with that person. And so you could resonate with that. You know, I can only imagine how stressful it would be, not only for the athlete, but maybe for you, traveling and being on that same rotation and schedule all the time. But aside from that, you know, because we're running out of time, what would be your words of wisdom for people maybe who is similar, wants to do similar things in your shoes, or wants to do something similar to you? What would be the advice you would give them?
The advice, I never give up. And so I think that is the piece of advice. If you want something, it is totally obtainable. I think it's just a level of dedication. It's a level of discipline. It's a level of digging deep, and commitment. I think when you can commit on something and you're like, that's what I'm doing, I'm making my mind up for that, you have to figure out how you're going to do that. And so, yeah, if it's, like I said, the routine, going to sleep on time, the nutrition, getting your mental prepared, and then I also had put in working with a therapist, because there's things that get brought up about, like, your generational stuff, and it's like, why is that happening to me? Why do I doubt myself when the next person isn't doubting their self? Like, why is it happening? And then I had to realize, I'm like, oh, it's because my mom doubted herself, and that I saw that as a little girl. So how can I overcome that? And that's the practice. That's that meditation. That's really sitting with yourself and knowing that you are this divine being no matter what. And knowing that you're fully capable. You're enough no matter what. I don't care what anybody says. You're enough. You're unique. And so God made you, the way that you're supposed to be. All of the experiences, all of the people that entered your life, they made an impact on your life for you to be who you are today. And that's beautiful if we stop and we think about it, right? Mm-hmm. Like, nobody's like you, Shaun. Like, nobody. For you to have this amazing podcast and, like, to be so dedicated with it. I see your dedication. I see you want it to succeed, to be internationally well known. And it's so possible. It's just, we're just holding on to it and we're staying committed to it. And so us showing up tonight is just one more level of that, right? It's like all of these small steps that we're doing. And then sooner or later we get there and we're like, oh, yeah, that's right. I'm supposed to be here because I've been praying for it. I've been manifesting it. I've been doing all of the work for me to get here. And so I'm the same way, I'm hosting tomorrow an NAACP event. Somebody had called me randomly and asked me to host the event. And I was like, yeah, I'll host it. But these are all things that, are just working in my favor. And they're opportunities for me to show up. So it's one more step. Okay, now I got that. Mm-hmm. Okay, now I got that. And even as much, it was a very intense week for me this week. I mean, really intense. But I knew we were going to have this tonight. And I said, I still have to show up. And then even knowing, like, well, what does that look like? Okay, I have to go to sleep early. I got to eat right. How am I going to pull through? And I think that's where the athlete comes in. It's like... Exactly. Oh, nothing can stop me. Like, it's me stopping me. You take your breaks, and that's one thing that yoga has taught me. And this is just one piece that I've been wanting to share with, like, everybody that I meet. You go really hard and then you relax. Mm-hmm. And you go really hard and then you relax. And you go really hard and then you relax. And that is life. And that is yoga. I do Bikram yoga. I do hot yoga. So I'll hold these postures where I don't think I could do it anymore. And I'm like almost about to give up. And then she's like, okay, let it go. And then I'm relaxed. Then I have to do it again. And then I have to relax. And then I have to do it again. And it's the same thing about, like, writing an email to somebody that you had just met a few weeks ago or whatever, yesterday, and you want to keep that connection with. It's actually sitting down and diving into this email, even though you're so mentally exhausted from the whole entire, your 9 to 5, but you still have to do the extra work. Yes, you do. Even if you want to start your own business and you have a 9 to 5, which I'm doing, it's like yesterday, this whole week, I was in the office until 11 p.m. And that's the drive. That's those extra hours that nobody sees, but you know how much work you've put in. So then when you are making this money, or your business is flourishing, you're like, no, I'm prepared for this. I've been doing this work. It's not nothing. you know, when it just clicks one day, it just automatically just whoop.
Yeah. So, I mean, just getting, because, you know, you went on a long rant, which is great, but just to kind of tie that up, it sounds like, you know, your meditation, your mental toughness, your mental practicing, your physical practicing, your spiritual practicing will only go but so far until finally it's really, all right, who wants it bad enough? You know, who's going to go get it? Because, yes, you're going to be tired. You're going to feel weak. Your spirit might be low. But you're going to experience all that at once, probably when you need to go a little bit farther than you may have planned on going. And that's what gets you being the difference between being good and great. And the beautiful part about that is that's the mentality athletes have to have. That's the mentality somebody who is working and wants to be successful at the thing they want to do has to have too.
The CEO.
Exactly. So that information again is transferable, and you know
that extra 10%. Like it's one thing that I've always focused on is when I feel like giving up, can I do an extra 10%? And I hope people don't lose that. So yeah, that and yeah.
Yeah, gotta go beast mode. So.
Yo. All day.
Yeah.
All day, every day.
This has been an episode of Off the Mat. Joined with my guest, Courtney Watson. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You guys, we'll see you next time.
Yay. Thank you.
That was good. That was really good, actually.